All right, hello, good afternoon. I am Desirae with Levi Strauss. I come here today from San Francisco, but Levi Strauss is a fairly global company. We sell products in over 110 different countries, many of which are in Europe. And we also have a long participation in life cycle assessment. My colleague Paula Bautil has spoken in this forum before about some of that, so I'll just go through a few highlights and then into some of the approaches that we're taking today. So in terms of our LCA history, the first thing that we did was back in 2007, we completed a life cycle assessment for a Levi's 501. And this assessment became really the backbone of our sustainability strategy in terms of understanding where our most relevant and impactful components of the life cycle, and where can we really try and make change and influence to reduce the environmental impact of our products. We also were a participant in Grinnell from 2011 to 2012, and this was the first external forum through which we engaged with consumers on communicating about the life cycle assessment impacts of our products. Internally, we also have a life cycle-based method called Evaluate, which is similar to a product category rule, in that we created a set of guidelines for putting together data that included some secondary data sources, areas where we would always collect primary data, and allowed us to compare between different types of products or different components of products. The idea behind Evaluate is that we found life cycle assessment to be tremendously interesting, but we also, at the end of the day, wanted to see how our different products compared and how we could improve upon them. We also wanted to be able to communicate with suppliers and consumers about environmental performance and strive towards improving it over the long term. While we did reach our goal of figuring out a method to do comparisons, we really struggled with both the supplier and the consumer piece. And so we've transitioned a little bit into a new approach. And so the challenges arose from partially inconsistent data for materials, chemicals, locations. This has been brought up earlier today, but we continue to lack data for a lot of upstream sources that we could use to compare, say, cotton produced in different countries, or a polyester product, or a lycra product, and all these different types of underlying pieces that made it challenging. Our suppliers also were getting a bit fatigued from our extensive data requests. We don't have most of the information for how to make a product in any sort of product management system, and so it really is through sending out Excel sheets and getting a lot of suppliers to return the information. And then the last piece, particularly on the consumer end, is just a lack of consumer awareness. And so while clearly that should be rather evident, it was actually a big sticking point in terms of not being able to move forward unless we were going to do significant education to consumers around what this information was and how to use it. And going at that with being just one company is challenging. And so our approach changed to looking at industry collaboration. And so we worked with the Sustainability Apparel Coalition to create product category rules. And we specifically developed product category rules over the last 18 months for slacks, trousers, and shorts, t-shirts, and jackets. And the idea behind these was to bring the industry together to create guidelines that would have a lot of benefits. So the benefits through having a common industry standard are, one, being able to have a reference for material suppliers. So when we had a material supplier approaching us saying, oh, look at our new material that you can use to make jeans, it's fantastic. And then we would ask to see the life cycle assessment and find that it was using different methodology than other ones to which we wanted to compare it to. Now we can start to use a standard that would be usable across multiple companies or brands that the supplier is trying to sell into. With data collection synergies, since most of the suppliers in the apparel supply chain produce for multiple apparel companies, we can then only have a supplier fill out one data collection point and have it be usable across the industry, and start to also develop more robust secondary databases, especially when we get further upstream. And then the last piece is common messaging. So being able to have a standard way to communicate across multiple apparel brands with our consumers, we think will vastly enhance our ability to educate consumers about this. Initiatives like the EU pilot will also go a long way in terms of getting consumers educated to make more informed decisions and to be able to use this information in a better way. I should also mention that the Sustainability Apparel Coalition group that created these standards did include stakeholders both from the supplier side, from industry associations, as well as materials suppliers and brands that came from a variety of locations. So there were European brands who were heavily involved, as well as brands that serve multinational companies or countries. So I think I ended right on time. Thank you very much.